Yo, 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 what is up, my fallopian tubers? Cesario Fondo Vario coming back at you with another video for your butt. And this is going to be my 2020 end of the year review. So basically, what I'm going to tell you about is my 2020 review as regarding to the hobby. All right, hobby talk. Um, I gotta say, as far as hobby wise, it was actually a really good year for me. You know, I definitely spent less, but I got more out of it this year. I think mainly because of everything that was going on, I couldn't buy retail. I think the last couple of years I wasted a lot of money in retail, which I didn't get the opportunity to do this year because you guys know why. I mean, you can't find retail. So uh, let's just start off with my what were my 2020 goals, which I'm really surprised that this year there isn't any contest. I mean, last year and year before that, like every year, there's always a bunch of contests in December. Hey, what's your resolutions? What's your goals? You know, a bunch of contests, and not this year. Um, but making those videos, I made my goals to be to work on my sets, to buy more vintage because I was wasting a lot of money on retail, and to be more organized. I remember those being my top goals. I remember a lot of people's goals were just to get more organized. All right, but so as the year started, I started buying, completing my vintage sets. And I gotta tell you the truth, man, it was almost like cheating because I really didn't put in much work. As soon as the year started, I put my checklist together for all my 70 sets, and people right away started asking me, hey, send me a checklist, send me a checklist. So people like the cardboard teacher, uh, Ricky Russo, rest in peace. Just a lot of people, Mickey Cook, they they filled in a lot of my holes in the vintage sets. And so like every week they're like, send me a list, hey, I got these going, I got these coming your way. So I couldn't buy any singles to complete my sets because I was waiting to see what I was gonna get. So during that time, I was spending my money on buying singles, of Acuna, Soto, and stuff like that. Like totally straying away, spending my money straying away from like what my main goals were, because I was buying singles, a lot of singles, and I wasn't. You could say I wasn't spending it on my sets, but my sets were being taken care of. I guess, man. I kind of feel bad about that now, but grateful, very grateful, man. A lot of people helped me complete a lot of my 70 sets, man. So I was achieving that goal for sure. You know what I mean? Um, and this was still early in the year that I'm talking about. January, February. And I do remember at the beginning of the year there was an incident where somebody burned some baseball cards on retail. And at this time, pre-COVID, retail was everywhere. It was, I mean, in the past years that I've been in this hobby, I'm a set collector. I could go any day. I could just say, I'm going to go buy a couple of blasters of Tops 2018, 2019. Go to Target or Walmart and they buy them, no problem. It's just like going and buying some bacon, buying some chili cheese Fritos. You know what I mean? They were always there. And we all know how that changed. But back, it was during this time where it was plentiful. You know what I mean? And just one YouTuber burned some cards, and a lot of people got on his case. And you know what? I think by that time, me personally, I was desensitized, so I didn't really have any strong feelings towards it because I remember when I first started watching YouTube, there was this guy that had a garage full, man, of junk wax, and he had a bunch of 80s, man, just tons of 80s sets of Score, Tops, Fleer, Donruss, you name it. Had tons of it, and he would make these videos of just burning them in a big wheelbarrow, like not wheelbarrow, a big drum, and the videos would be like hours, of him just throwing cards in there. And I remember I became intrigued by it. because he would talk about like how many of these cards he had and how they're worthless all the time. And I remember being intrigued by the score. I love watching him burn score, 88 score, because it had all the different colors. So you see all these different color flames. But anyways, I became this desensitized. One of my good friends on YouTube right now, one of his first videos that I ever seen was him burning cards. He bought a giant lot. He went through it all, just took out all the stars and great cards, and he burned the rest at a party. He had a party, and everybody the whole night was just throwing cards into a fire. So I became desensitized. Like, man, there is tons of cards out there. But anyways, we'll move on from that. Next thing I remember is I was having a lot of fun going live, and I don't know if you guys remember pre-COVID, I was having all these contests, going through DVDs, going through CDs, and giving away cards. And I remember giving away my 1989 Upper Deck #1 Ken Griffey Jr. graded a 9. Because at my LCS, this guy had it for 120. And I knew he'd give it to me for 100. He always used to hook me up, and I told him, and he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you 100. So I told him, I'm going to come on Saturday. I'm going to come on Saturday and buy it for 100. So during the week, I remember I was off like on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I had a contest during the day, and I ended up giving away my Ken Griffey Jr. in a 9, graded a 9, Upper Deck rookie, because I was going to go a few days later to buy the graded 10 for 100. All right. And wouldn't you know it, man, bam, COVID hit. The lockdown happened just like that. So LCS closed down. Didn't see that guy, man. So I was like, oh, well, let's see what happens when this COVID thing is over. I'll go buy it off of him, whatever. You know what I mean? And but then COVID got bad. And Gary Vee started talking up cards, and normally in the off season and stuff, when cards normally go down, speculators had cards going up. You know what I mean? But yeah, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden, like, one of the things I do remember is on when 2020 Topps, I always, when Topps flagship comes out, normally I always buy a hobby box, of it. So I went in 2020 on whatever date that was that 2020 Topps got released to go buy a hobby box. And while I was there, I ended up picking up this card. I think it looks better with the light on. But I bought this card. All right. And this is a 1992 Stadium Club. All right. And that was the first time I ever seen these Beam Team cards. And I was amazed by it. So he wanted 80 for it, and he gave it to me for $60. All right. So I got this card for $60. And then the movie the documentary The Last Dance came out. And I remember like people telling me when I showed this card, because I didn't show it for weeks later, and people were like, hey, that's like $100 card. I was like, I just bought it for 60. Oh, you scored. And I was like, well, I bought it like a month ago by the time I showed it. So then, yeah, just because of a documentary, I mean, it shot up, and that's like unheard of in the hobby. You know what I mean? This COVID stuff was kind of wacky things out of the way. Stuff always happened in the hobby. You know what I mean? And then after that, Topps Project 2020 came out. And man, I like those cards. All right? I really do. I like them. But I thought they were overpriced. And so I remember I was in a Facebook group, man, and I used to get grilled for my opinions on there, because I would say, man, these cards are awesome. I go, but they're not worth $20. These are the kind of cards, like, in a couple months, I'll see them at my LCS for $5, and people are like, you're stupid. I mean, I felt man, out of place in that group because I was like, my opinion was like, nobody knew me as Pepito, man. I was just some dude on there that nobody knew. And all these people were just like, you don't know stocks and you don't know real estate. I was like, what the hell does that have to do with baseball cards? And everybody's like, these are not baseball cards, they're pieces of art. And I was like, whatever, man. But man, I used to get it bad in that group when it first started, because then all of a sudden the card prices just started going up, man. It was insane. You could literally buy a card for $20 and a week, 2 weeks later, sell it for 3-5 times what it was worth. It was insane. But I was like, this is not sustainable. You know what I mean? And whatever. I mean, that was quite an experience in itself, the whole Project 2020, you know. That was a big part of this year, at least for me. Because I did buy a lot of them and I like them, but yeah, the prices, obviously, now you could get them for like $5. You know what I mean? And so for a long time, prices were just going up, man. Speculators started getting in, investors, flippers, to the point where you could not find any retail anywhere. Because when the year started, retail was a joke. No investor, no flipper was buying retail. If you bought retail, you were stupid. You had to buy hobby. I mean, every investor flipper was like, if you're not, retail is a waste of time. You got to get hobby boxes, hobby packs. And man, this COVID and stimulus checks came, and investors flippers entered. Sneakerheads, video game people, they came into the hobby, and retail disappeared off the shelves, man. It's pretty insane. I mean, it changed my whole collecting style. You know what I mean? Because that's what I did all year, is I bought retail a couple times a week, and put my sets together. That's how I collected, and that got taken away from me with all these flippers and sneakerheads, investors, crackheads, everybody that came into the hobby that wasn't here before. You know what I mean? It's like gentrification almost. It's like things that we could afford before were readily available for us, all of a sudden was taken away from us. And all these people with money, they just took it over. So it is what it is, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know what I mean? So hopefully this whole bubble is going to burst. I don't know if it's going to burst anytime soon, but it has to. But I could be wrong. I don't know. But anyways, and then there was no baseball, there was no sports, so this is the only way you could get your sports fix. But then baseball came back, basketball came back, everything came back, football made but I still couldn't find any retail anywhere. So what it did happen is I ended up concentrating more on my sets now. Before I would buy most of my budget went to retail packs, retail blaster boxes. That's where all my money was going. And now what I ended up doing was, once baseball came back, I started filling in sets. I started cheating. I gave myself a hall pass during this COVID, because I only put sets together by hand. Normally what I would do is I'd buy a starter set or start from scratch, and all my sets I put together by packs or by going through dollar boxes, finding cards. You know what I mean? They're hand correlated is what they're called. Most of my sets are hand correlated. But I gave myself a COVID pass, and I said, you know what? I'm going to buy factory sets. Alright, so just to give you guys a thing of what I mean, is I purposely, even when I was buying these, just so that I know which were factory sets, 04, 05, 07 was a set that I bought as a starter set, and I just need 2 more cards, but the 08, the 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, these were all factory sets that I bought and put them in binders. And it was kind of fun, because once baseball came back, I would take one factory set to work, at Dodger Stadium, and in between innings, in between working, I could one day I would, because they don't come numbered, they don't come in numerical order, so I would put them all in numerical order in one day, and then the very next day, I would put it in a binder. The next day it would take me, the 3 innings to put them all in binders. So it would take me 2 days to go from the box to put them in order and then to put them in the thing. So that's what I did every single game. One game, put it in order. The next game, and it got to a point where everybody on the grounds crew, like every day, were like, "What set you got today? What set you got today?" So it encouraged me to keep buying more sets, factory sets. So that was kind of cool. As you can see, I ended up buying like 12 or 14 factory sets. So my set collecting grew. I mean, I was on point, man. My best year in set collecting. My biggest accomplishment, my biggest moves. You know what I mean? My biggest step forwards. So, great year for me as far as sets goes. And so my other goal, like I told you guys, my goals from last year were to work on my sets again, because I was buying singles and stuff. So I wanted to concentrate more on my sets and to add a big card to my mantle collection. Oh man, which I have put away. I'm gonna have to pause this, man. So bam, boom, there's the flavor. This was my big Mickey Mantle card edition, the 53 Bowman color. Man, I hate to pause on this camera. I bought a new phone, and it seems like whenever I pause it, after that the sync of the voice in the picture just goes off. So hopefully that doesn't happen too much. But this video should almost be over. I know it's already pretty long. But man, I love this pickup right here. Man, when I first bought it, I'd miss it, man. When I'd be at work, I'd miss it, and I couldn't wait to come home and come home and give it a big hug and love it and kiss it and hug it. This was a big card for me. This is my big boy. So I accomplished number 2 of my goals, which was to work on my sets and get a big Mantle pickup. All right, for my PC, because my main PC is Mickey Mantle. But when you got a PC like Mickey Mantle, on my budget, it's about one big card a year, and I'm happy with that. I got my whole life to do it. I'm not in a big hurry. I set small goals. With my sets, my first goal was to complete all the 80s tops. You know what I mean? And then after that, my second goal was to complete all the 80s Donruss and then the 80s Fleer. So I would accomplish goals, so I wouldn't, it wouldn't deflate me. So a bunch of small goals, and then you end up accomplishing a big goal. All right? But as you can see, so now I got all these binders, man. And on the bottom right here, these are all football. I never really show my football binders. But after that, my goal was to get organized. All right? So this is something I just accomplished. I built right here, as you can see, the Cardboard Beast. All right? Or the AKA the Barrio Beast. It's the Cardboard Projects right here. So I built this shelf. So this way I could organize. As you can see here, I have all my doubles from my sets. All right? So every time I put a set together by packs, I end up putting all the doubles here. So you can see how much retail I used to buy. These are all doubles right here. All the completed sets are in binders. And then these are all doubles. I mean, these are all 800 count boxes. So that goes to show you how much retail I used to buy. You know what I mean? So, and come to 2020, I only have a couple of boxes. When before you could go to 2017, 2018, I have all kinds of doubles. So, completed my 3 goals, man. Completed a bunch of my sets. I got organized, and I got myself a big Mantle card. So 2020 was a success for me as far as the hobby goes. It's a horrible year on Earth. overall. But this is just about the hobby. My hobby was a good year. This video's gone long enough, man. I'm pretty sure nobody is still here. But same goes for next year. Work on my sets. Got to pick up one big mantle card for my PC and get more organized. I want to, for my organization, what I mainly want to do is like get all the sets that are in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Each decade have a same colored binder because you can see it's a Frankenstein mixture of binders. So I want to do every decade will have its own binder that all matches, all 10 from 80 to 89. Want them all to all match. All right. So simple goals, man. Love the hobby. Let's keep collecting baseball cards forever, I say. Ciao. Happy New Year, everybody. 2020. You're fired.